Next matchup we have, though, is going to be Staz versus Pathra. And as we mentioned, this is pretty much a must-win match for Pathra. I think if this is a loss, again, there are crazy things that could happen, but it is extremely unlikely that she would survive in GM for
That's right.
next season.
Yeah, because if Pathra wins all 3 of her next games and Blitzchung loses all 3 of his next games, she will just be ahead in match score, I believe.
Right, exactly.
Which gets her through guaranteed. If she loses this game, but then proceeds to win her other 2 games, and again, Blitzchung loses all 3 of his games, then she'll be even in score, and maybe she can win on tiebreakers, but I have to imagine she'd be worse in tiebreakers, because I think Blitzchung's beaten a couple of quite high-score opponents. We'll cross that when we come to it. For the most part, even though there is a miracle scenario where Pathra doesn't get relegated if she loses this game, she really kind of has to win for any logical, reasonable
and also
way.
as well, if you apply on the other side of the coin, I guess, where Blitzchung has to lose most of the time 3 matches of Hearthstone, that's just pretty unlikely, actually. You know, even if you just look at basic stats, it's just unlikely that Blitzchung loses the next 3 matches of Hearthstone straight. It doesn't happen super often. You know, you've got to just look at GM for that. Look at all the players. There's like 1 player maybe in every group that's gone like 0, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5 across an amount of time. So it is pretty unlikely. Let's go into it though. Staz versus Pathra. Staz, on the other hand, has been doing pretty well, actually. You know, he won yesterday, right? And he's looking to continue that streak. And Staz, I feel, is maybe the dark horse, or one of the dark horses of the of Asia Pacific, in the fact that maybe a lot of players didn't really rate him too high. You know, when you've got Tom60229, Surrender, Chonsu, you've got all these like well-known top players. Staz maybe slightly less well-known, but I think it's consistently put out very good performances across both seasons.
I mean, I'll be honest, I definitely underrated Staz going into Grandmasters. I think I very erroneously... even I knew he had other performances and he could do what it takes, but the perception of him was really that he won one big tournament in WESG, obviously very impressively doing so, but that he hadn't really followed it up with anything too impressive up until this point. Like getting to the finals of a tour stop is impressive, of course, but it's not on the same caliber of some of these other players in Asia Pacific. We're talking seasonal champions, we're talking world champions in Tom as well, like you said. But here in Grandmasters, Staz, I think, has very, very much proven that he deserves his spot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and if not just for his actual results across seasons, but for me as well, like also just because he entertains me in the fact that he brings some weird lineups and techs, and I don't agree with them all being that good, but it's interesting, it's fun, it's great to cast, because they're just decks that we don't get anyone else submitting, so it's fun for me at least. That's his lineup. Is bringing the Malagoose with the Druid as of course on the bottom, and probably Staz's just signature right now, which is just Hunter. He plays it a little bit weird sometimes, at least for me. He doesn't. He brings very much his own build of Hunter. Yes, it's Highlander, but it's his own 30 cards he's choosing for it, and he does get the job done most of the time. So even though you can. Different people can think different things of the decks. It doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong strictly. It just means that people have different styles.
Yeah, it's... I think it's almost to a fault the amount of faith that he puts in this Highlander Hunter. And of course, mid-range Hunter beforehand, when we were playing Specialist before Saviors of Uldum came out, he just absolutely loves these decks. And, you can see why he does. At the start of Grandmaster Season 1, he had a horrible record where he was playing a bunch of other decks. He switched over to just playing Hunter for the last few weeks, pretty much. And he qualified through to playoffs. He had a huge upswing, won every game in the second half of Grandmasters Season 1. Then he gets through to the top 8 of Masters Tour Seoul. He was the best performing Grandmaster at that tournament with Highlander Hunter, a deck that pretty much no one else was playing at the time. And he has just been doing very, very well with it ever since. So for Staz, something's working for him here to a certain degree. He's not running away with anything, but it's working well enough for him, so I can't fault his faith.
Yeah, I think it's just comfort. Honestly, I think it's an underrated thing. Just being confident with a deck means that... I was going to use the word autopilot. No one in Grandmasters autopilots their deck, right? Because that's just how you lose games.
Almost.
Almost no one. But what I mean is it becomes just... it's just intuitive and natural to play the deck, right?
Yeah.
Like for me personally, I play way more Hunter than anything else. So when I'm playing Hunter, I just play it in a much more relaxed and natural fashion because I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
Whereas if if you bring in decks that you've not played tons of or practiced much, then it means you're just not as used to it, which means situations can occur where you're like, oh, I don't actually know what to do here. Whereas if you just play something enough, you've seen pretty much every situation and outcome that can happen. So I honestly think it's just comfort. Whereas Pathra, I feel, takes a quite a heavy research-based approach to Hearthstone and to competitive play. She was, if you remember in HCG, she was the player on Team New Zealand that got everything together.
Yeah.
Built lineups and had strong ideas about what to pick and ban, when to queue things, what to play. And again, every time we've spoken to her so far in Grandmasters and through tweets and stuff, she said like, oh yeah, this was the plan. They banned this, probably means I ban that, and this is how it plays out. And this is what I've thought about this. This is why I've got this lineup. This is what I expect to happen. And generally, I'd have to agree with the planning phase of it. It's just unfortunate for Pathra that the actual outcome of results hasn't been there.
And I think that's why Pathra did so well in Hearthstone Global Games, because when it comes to the preparation, the theory behind her game plan, she's almost unparalleled in the Asia-Pacific region. She does it remarkably well and always comes up with what, in my opinion, is one of the best lineups of the week. It's just in a group format, I think maybe she was letting things get into her head less. When it actually came down to playing, she was a bit more relaxed because, she's tweeted out a few times that when she's playing here in Grandmasters, it's always just running through her head, what are people going to be thinking if I make this play? Is this the right play? Is this the wrong play? Second guessing herself when it's an incredibly difficult thing to do, but she just has to have faith in herself. She can do this if she's just not letting her brain run away with things.
I can understand that. Whenever I play Hearthstone, whether it's been the few times I've played competitively recently or not, I just always have Sorrel's head. Sorrel's words in my head like, "Oh, Raven, I'm going to take the mick out of you for that one."
What are you doing?
Yeah, don't make that play. It's terrible. Why? It's just constant. But anyway.
My ponytail is bristling at how bad that play was. Wait a second.
Yeah,
how old are you, Sol?
It's actually, the Sol in my head is not current Sol. It's actually back in the day Sol, not long after First Meeting, where he's even more savage in general. But Pathra, in the meanwhile, is facing down this Hunter deck from Staz. Staz doing a great opening as well. Secret into getting the Hyena Alpha off with the coin is huge. And now what? That Sandbinder just always draws Zephyrus.
Do you prioritize that over Animal Companion? Like, in terms of raw stats, every Animal Companion is better.
That's true, but having Zephyrus in hand to adapt to any other situation might actually trump it.
Also very true. He's got to think about planning out his next turns. How does this work out? Because if you go...
And if it's Huffer, it's pretty weak to Starfall too.
Fair. Yeah, that's true.
I like this, and it's just good mana.
Sandbinder here, Zephyrus, it could even be Zephyrus Savage Roar next turn.
But yeah,
I guess it leaves your options open.
It's really good now, because every turn for most of the game, you have access to either, do I need to remove this taunt easily? Do I need a silence just to forget about this taunt?
Yeah.
Or do I just bloodlust for the win? And often, you can, when you have Zephyrus in hand, you play so differently. You can set up these circumstances way, way more than saying, oh, if I top deck Zephyrus, I might be able to do this. Pathra just going for the Hero Power Pass. He's going to get the quest active, and then bear in mind, there's Starfall, there's Nourish,
she's got every good card.
There's Hidden Oasis, there's Oasis Surger. Everything you can want from this point in the Druid game. The real question is, can Staz just get away with it for a little bit longer? I'd really like to see Bow Hero Power now.
Over Animal Companion Hero Power? I get that that's playing into Starfall a little bit more, but I think I like for Staz actually just still developing stats onto the board.
But on average, the bow does the same amount of damage at least, and I like putting the mana in now because it is reasonably likely that that secret might get proc next turn.
Fair. What secret is it again? Sorry, is it?
It's Pressure Plate.
Pressure Plate. Okay.
Get the pig. So I'm gonna go for the Animal Companion. Don't get me wrong. If you tell me you're rolling the Hofer every time, I'll play Animal Companion. Okay.
I'll go on board with that. Yeah. It's interesting how it was probably not even the best one though. Like Leok was better, probably, just because it leaves something on the board in the face of a Starfall, of course. But even though Staz is going to be pushed out pretty hard by this Starfall, I liked his play of making Pathra have it, because the upside is huge if she doesn't.
This is where it can slip away, though. Patra's hand is insane.
Big time. This starts to look very nice for Pathra. I think she could just get away with playing Floop as another Anubisath defender here. I really would like to see that.
You wouldn't do it into Rat Trap, right?
Oh, into Rat Trap. Yeah, okay, fair enough. If you don't know what the secret is.
But I think, say, next turn, it could easily be that. Could be Hidden Oasis. We'll obviously see the pressure plate proc.
Yeah.
And then just play an Anubisath. I wouldn't mind that at all. But I think on this board, you wouldn't want a cheeky Ret.
So, there's obviously many Zephyrus tempo ways to get rid of this with like Shadow Word Pain. Is there anything better on 4 mana that gets you another benefit? Don't think so.
I think I just like Deadly Shot Bow and go face.
Yeah, okay. If they have Hidden Oasis, it's pressure plated.
Yeah, because Bow in face makes them think that healing will be good because you don't have a board. The heal happens, but the 6/6 dies, and then you play stuff. I guess this play with the Mass Contender means that it does a similar thing. I don't think this as much warrants Pathra to heal this turn.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, because to me, if I was Pathra and my opponent played Bow and went face, I'd be like, oh, they've got like Kill Commander and Bran in hand, right? Because that's what it signals those sort of aggro things. Whereas obviously Staz doesn't have those cards. He has Zephyrus, which is an aggro card, kind of. But I would like try and make Pathra play a Hidden Oasis if she has one, because it's by far the best target for a pressure plate.
I will not deny that.
What? It like nerfs the hero power. Oh. I think now though.
Well, I mean,
is this as good a turn as any to play Oasis Surger? You can check for Snipe and you're not blown out. You can check for Freezing Trap and you're not blown out. Snakes doesn't really.
There's no mana to go
destroy you.
Innovate Surger. Yeah. Sure.
I think this is as good a Surger as you're going to get.
I'm happy with that. Oh.
Ouch.
That worked out pretty horribly.
Yeah, this is the play that if I would Staz, I would have wanted Pathra to make, if that makes sense. And that is, I think that was a Surger turn.
Has she tested for
so
Freezing Trap?
It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's like Snipe and Freezing Trap, but no, that's good for you because you just bounce back the damage from
like the Surger beats all of the secrets. Apart,
Snakes?
Well, Snake is the punish, but you kill a 2/4 and leave 3 1/1s on the board, and you have Swipe. Is that really the end of the world?
Her thinking, I guess, was of Bran, because if there's an 8 damage charger, if it manages to rush into the 6/6, that's huge for Pathra. Like, that's such a big upswing in her ability to win the game, because outside of that she struggles to clear off the 8/8 at all. So I can see the reasoning behind Patra's play, absolutely.
The problem I've got is Pathra knows, or knew, because it's changed now, that Staz has either Zephyrus or Siamat. Siamat crushes the 6/6 from hand.
Very good point.
And that's a fact, because the Sandbinder was played.
And even if it's not Siamat, they have Zephyrus in hand,
which
and then,
can crush a 6/6 if so required, right? That's what I mean. Like, I feel like the downsides were way higher on the Oasis, Hidden Oasis play, than they were on the Oasis Surger play there.
Yeah.
And that might have opened up a bit of a gap. And don't get me wrong, Patra's healed up to 26. That's a nice number. But
she's going to start dying very quickly.
Now there's just a Wind Fury CM out on the board safely, which is scary. It's going to be double Trade Wrath.
Oh, the rat, though. Oh, this is so horrible. This is so horrible for Pathra. I guess she didn't have much choice. Like, it was that, or was Nourish just better, though? Just tank the damage on this turn? Oh, but you can't tank.
Wait, was double Surger better? You Surger into the other minion instead of swiping? I guess not.
You have to sink like 3 of them into it, yeah. But the thing is, for Pathra, if she didn't clear that off, you will have known, if she's been keeping track of hands, that minion was not the elemental that was drawn, so Zephyrus is in hand.
Right.
So Blessed Champion would be given for lethal. It's absurd.
You've got a lot to answer for, Zephyrus.
Exactly. She will, of course, been hoping that it was played on the pre-IQ buff for Zephyrus when he didn't offer Blessed Champion there, but I'm pretty sure it would offer the attack buff there now.
You'd imagine with Wind Fury, right?
Insane.
If it didn't, I would laugh. Here comes Zephyrus.
I think we're high maining. Or is that Houndmaster for the immediate buff and hero power?
I wouldn't be too upset with either.
Yeah,
I
me
guess
neither.
high main is more resistant to some stuff. Like a Loti, for example. Like, for example, like Loti... Wait, only one Starfall's been played?
Yeah.
So Loti Starfall is actually a really good turn here for Pathra, but I guess arguments is those would have been played beforehand anyway.
Just demolishing here from Staz. How does he do it with this Hunter, man? Every time.
I think Pathra gave him a lot of this leeway, though.
Yeah.
I really think Surger, there was very few punishes for the Surger on that turn into the Mystery Secret.
I think the thing was, though, and sorry, I was going to say that she was expecting Brand to come down on the following turn is, I think, her reasoning. I'm not saying that reasoning is necessarily correct because you're expecting a Siamat on the following turn. I just think that is why she will have gone for that play.
I just think then you just... Well, there's still a minion on the board, one of yours. You get hit for 8, you're not dead.
Right.
And then you heal.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I
yeah,
agree with it.
It's just a...
That's just the reason that I'm attributing to it.
Just 10 damage available without any marked shot shenanigans. For me, that was a very interesting Zephyrus. I'm not sure how good that actually was.
To just get a Houndmaster.
Yeah.
His hand was, to be fair, slowing down a little bit. The amount of actual big threats, like Subject 9 is fine, but you know, if you're starting to be afraid of plays like Loti Starfall, anything else that Staz developed would also have been very, very weak to that, of course.
I'm just wondering whether Zephyrus needed to be played. Because
what else was coming down then?
Well, either Subject 9, Bow, and X. You know, there's stuff that could have been played. Because for me, either the way I saw it happening was either Staz keeps the board, and then Zephyrus is just a huge power play, win the game.
Right.
And you can pressure health with the bow, or he loses the board because say Pathra just drops Felris or something.
Yeah.
Well, then Zephyrus deals with that board one way or the other, whereas like Zephyrus to get a Houndmaster to push 2 extra damage. Yes, it made the board more awkward to deal with, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And it could have had a larger payoff, but I feel like Zephyrus can consistently be stronger than that. That's a hidden Oasis, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure which way I think, because from Staz's perspective, the thinking of like, if you just let the board go, then catch up afterwards, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that one, because I think at that point you're just kind of playing to lose. The thing I'm on board with that you're talking about is like setting up for Zephyrus to give you lethal in the next couple of turns.
And I guess my point overall is playing a Subject 9, as well as the Rat being on the board, as well as the other minions being on the board, that bad? If you think a Subject 9 is still just a Houndmaster, except the Rat's got 2 less health and attack.
Yeah.
And you've drawn all the secrets out your deck.
I think it was fine. I think, yeah, like...
And you keep a Zephyrus. Like.
Yes, which is big. But I think the way it worked out is that Staz is thinking, if there's a Starfall which clears off my board, then Zephyrus is just giving me a minion anyway. And if there's not a Starfall that clears off my board, then I may as well just go for the Zephyrus and win. It's an interesting point there. Quite close.
So here comes Snipe onto the Scenarios, which not going to have mind-blowing impact, except it is weaker now to Mark Shot, of course. That's a kind of a bad draw for Staz. I guess negated slightly by the secrets in hand, but still, you don't really want to be drawing Secret Keeper at this point in the game.
There is, of course, a freezing trap active, so I think the Scenarios can be more or less ignored. It's really just about how does he maximize damage through to face in the meanwhile. And maybe second Mark Shot is the answer, and then just push the rest face.
Consideration for Deadly Shot as well, just to put it as it's generally better in Zul'jin pool.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
Again, you might have to clear the whole board if you do that. If you Deadly Shot the Cenarius, then you've got, it's a bit annoying. But it is more powerful later to have played Deadly Shot than Mark Shot, at least in my opinion.
I think at the moment I'd rather have the better card than worry about.
Yeah, I mean,
worry about Zul'jin. Like Zul'jin's good, no matter what.
I just play Flark because it's funny.
It does also thin your deck. Gets you that little bit closer to Zul'jin. Honestly, it wouldn't have been that bad.
I wonder, so, I mean, if we could see the minions left in deck, that would change my opinion on the card, right? Because, for example, say Pathra makes a board, Flark Zuka is not the worst card you could play against a board of Druid minions. It just solely depends on what's left in Staz's deck, whether it's good or not.
How do you feel about Flark into Dinotamer Bran?
I feel great, because I'm not the one piloting at the moment. I would laugh.
Yeah, Pathra had to know that was going to come down, with, of course, all secrets available to be played, and that being fantastic against Cenarius.
Was there ever a reason then not to swing, or do you think you have to swing?
There's no bow down at the moment, but
I mean,
I think it was probably better to just not swing, right? Because it's always freezing trap. Right? It's always freezing trap.
And my point as well being that Pathra doesn't win the game by swinging with the minion anyway,
I think
right?
that was
I
just
think Pathra outlasts Staz is the way this game can end.
Right. The plan is you stick another minion and then you swing with the Cenarius afterwards. Like, if you can bounce back an Anubis Sentinel or something, that's insane.
Or even a Discovered Oasis Surge. There was Worthy Expedition that could have literally been played this turn, and you could get a Rush minion, and that would have been huge.
Definitely not over, though, for Pathra. There's Zephyrus, which always gives you the possibility of pulling out of things.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Elise. Like, I didn't see if Zephyrus was active. I think maybe not quite yet. But Elise, Zephyrus, Frost Nova, and then another Zephyrus afterwards.
Insane.
Yeah, it gets nuts.
Because then you either get board removal or lethal a lot of the time. And the thing about Hunter as well, in terms of how Zephyrus works, Hunter is a very straightforward class in how it works on board, right? There aren't tons of awkward minions.
Yeah.
There aren't that many taunts, if any. There aren't that many death owls. They're just minions that hit you. So Frost Nova, Flame Strike, Blizzard, all these things don't make awkward board states for you after the fact, right? They either clear the board or freeze it, and that's just done. So Zephyrus becomes a very good tool versus Hunter, because it's like, look at this board. It's just a Flame Strike and it's gone. Which is actually pretty sick when you think what Pathra could, the tempo swing Pathra could gain here.
Staz has just got to start moving as quick as he can. I think trades here are honestly not that important how he does it. Just push everything face. You just want to get the damage. Yeah, there we go. I'm happy. Pathra, however, I think he's probably not quite so happy with no active Zephyrus. Elise, obviously, as well, not active.
Let's start with
Worthy Expedition.
Yeah.
Try and find a
just whatever.
Surger or a Hidden
There's
Oasis.
Surger, Hidden Oasis, there's Starfall.
I like that.
There's things that are good because there's still Loti on hand.
Yeah,
so
that feels like a good start.
It's one mana. It's not going to change the rest of your turn, is it? Well, it's not going to change it for the negative, should I say. It's only going to change it for the better. Okay.
Yep, I like it now, because the mana always leaves you the ability to play it.
Ancient of Law, potentially? I know it sounds crazy, but
the
heal's important versus Hunter.
Time waits for no one.
It's pretty funny how much worse Druid of the Claw is than War Druid Loti when both options are activated.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even close. Yeah. Unless you want to go face.
Yeah, I thought you meant Loti's way worse, because it doesn't go face, right?
Hunter player to your very core.
And these 100% of the time swinging. Yeah. You need them taunts, you don't need the spell damage right now. You're not doing any of this fancy hidden Loti.
As I think Pathra still does not have active Zephyrus and Elise. I'm trying to think of what the last card left in the deck is that's a duplicate. Is it Crystal Merchant? That hasn't been played so far this game, I think. I believe. But I think everything else has just come down in at least one of. Maybe Swipe?
I was thinking Swipe, potentially.
Yeah.
Oh no, Swipe got played, didn't it? The turn that was Swipe played? No, I don't think so. Okay.
Either
anyway,
way, it's not active. Yeah.
The problem here, though, is Staz needs to start worrying a little bit. It doesn't look comfortable, does it?
It's not as comfortable as it looked a little bit ago.
You might have to just slam Snip Snaps.
That's not bad. Do you ever go double Snip Snap Bomb Toss? Allows you to clear off the board a little bit as well.
Maybe. Ursatron. I don't like playing Snip Snap and Ursatron, because he's going to draw Ziliax, right?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this either.
This just seems a little bit inefficient. I think one or the other.
Like, we could have seen
3 Snip Snaps.
Yeah, or if he wants to draw the Ziliax, then Ursatron, Desert Spear, Bomb Toss, Hero Power clears off a 6-2, which is not even that much worse than playing the
I'm not sure about that one.
Snaps. Yeah, me neither.
Because
right,
the problem
it wasn't Swipe.
As well is, I think that Druid doesn't really care about a flat Ziliax. And yes, you can argue well, it's likely something lives. It's like, right, but is that actually going to win the game versus... Like, the issue now is Staz doesn't have many cards. He doesn't have many cards left in his deck either, but if that's the case, then you need to make the most out of your resources, and I feel like he didn't do that turn.
He did not. But you could make the argument as well, actually, I suppose, to Staz's credit, that it's less about eking out the value of each of his minions and doing the thing the fastest that he can with all of his minions, because if he draws Ziliax with Ursatron, that's another card out of his deck. And then, of course, every card he draws is closer to Bran and Zul'jin.
Is this Shaw, Baited Arrow, Ziliax, Unleash the Beast, Dino Tamer Bran, Zul'jin?
That is insane.
Like, all of his best cards at the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, yeah, Unleash the Beast as well. It's nuts.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, Staz's bottom chunk of his deck is just all the beef.
But then again, Pathra also is just a couple of draws away from a very good time. Copying Zephyrus, playing the Zephyrus.
It pretty much sets up lethal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah,
because you have a 5/5, a 3/2, and a Zephyrus attack buff or spell of some kind.
That's right.
And those cards don't normally get answered from hand from Hunter.
Ziliax, of course, could have something to say about that with a big old health swing.
Ziliax Bomb Toss trade.
I'm looking at that as the first port of call.
It's really difficult now, though, because Staz needs to work out whether he wins the game through trades or he just smoke attacks.
So does he ever go Ziliax, Bomb Toss, face, and then Hero Power face?
What I mean is he could Ziliax, put a 1/1 and Bomb Toss one of the minions to kill it off, and then everything else, including the Ziliax, goes face. So you could go halfway, leave one Surger up, and then go face with Ziliax. Instead, Staz is choosing to lock in the Unleash the Beast, and I believe this is just a nod to if I draw Zul'jin.
Exactly.
Unleash the Beast is the nuts.
Which is reasonable. This kind of goes in tandem with the trading school of thought, where you just want to trade, keep the board even, and then Zul'jin will just win the game. Or Dino Tamer Bran could very possibly just win the game. But for the moment, it's still just a duplicate left in the deck.
Whirlwind Slam Feoris here.
Do you ever need Feoris copied to win? I guess
I don't think. Not with Zephyrus.
Yeah,
I think this is right. A 5/5, a 4-drop, and a 3-drop. Not horrible.
Not the worst.
There's bees and Swipe to back these minions up. Yeah, there's Baited Arrow.
Every draw is good now, man.
Some draws are better, though. I think Zul'jin would be
yes.
Because the only problem with Staz's draws now is he has 2 5-drops and a 6-drop in his hand, which he cannot just dump out that fast.
Pretty awkward. So, do you ever do anything other than Ziliak's baited arrow? Is like kind of what I'm trying to figure out here. There's something for, I guess, Unleash the Beast and Spear, or arrow plus Spear. Because Spear's pretty good when there's the, of course, 3-1 on board.
Ziliak's Spear, take out the 3-3, maybe go face.
I just want to develop as much stuff as possible here, I think, for Staz, which is Ziliak's baited arrow.
What do you want to baited arrow the Wasp?
Yeah, that sounds
Because I think you have to leave this replicating Manisight cell.
Yeah.
You let that thing do what it wants. You don't want to give Pathra more tokens, right?
Yeah, I think this is all correct.
Okay. Trade into the forest, not only heals Staz, but also just removes the biggest threats off the board and makes clears harder. But there's the Starfall.
3 cards in deck,
So
and Zephyrus active. Still not active.
Trade B Starfall.
Bang, bang, bang. Sure.
I think that's just good, right? You end up with, what, 2 Bs left on the board? And the 2 1/1s from the Replicating Malice. Slight problem, because I think Staz also has Unleash the Hounds in his deck still. But still, I think that's just, you don't make bad plays because of one card they have. And also Pathra has Swipe as a backup. I think trade Bs and Starfall is way too good to not do this. If you really bothered about Unleash, you would do it the other way around, of course. But I think that's just asking for too much.
Yeah.
Like Pathra, like this Zephyrus is still not live. If it's live next turn, she could buff this board with, say, Soul of the Forest, and then she knows that Staz has Explosive Chat live, so she can effectively like kind of buff her board to be saved through Soul.
I think she's just wondering if Starfall has to be saved for Zul'jin, but I imagine once that comes down, Zephyrus is probably her best answer. Especially as, you know, if this doesn't get cleared and oh no wait, it's Explosive Trap is the last trap, right? Yeah. I was going to say Zephyrus could offer lethal.
Yeah, it's what I was meaning with Soul of the Forest, right? Yeah. Like Soul of the Forest is the best card to hit through this explosive because you trade the 1/1s for 2/2s and then say, well, now what?
This is so nuts. Both players had such powerful mid games, but have just tapered off so completely here. Like they're just doing nothing.
It's because they missed their power spikes, right?
Yeah.
Patra's not had Zephyrus live, so can't do the Elise Zephyrus turn, and Staz hasn't had Zul'jin, so he can't do the Zul'jin turn, or Bran. Yeah. Although I think like Bran's gone up and down in its power level throughout this game, in different turns, because when you spend pretty much your whole turn just dropping an 8/8, it has charge. Don't get me wrong, it's a good play, but it's a very linear. Like,
it's no Zul'jin.
What if Pathra has the board?
Yeah.
Do you charge an 8/8 into a minion, and or not? Like,
I would
it's just not as good.
I'd definitely like to see Bran as soon as possible for Staz.
Zul'jin's more important.
I agree.
Still love the Spear getting the work done. Also, funnily enough, Zephyrus could pull Flare or the SI.
It could, if it was active.
Is this bugged?
With 2 cards left in deck. I believe those are both Crystal Merchants now for Pathra, which, hilariously enough, are like the 2 worst cards to have at the bottom of your deck.
Honestly, though, this turn of just, I think, proc the secret and then just hidden Oasis swipe, like, is that just fine? Is that, considering the dire straits of this game,
right.
Is that actually just a good turn?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything else you can do, right?
I just hope there's no Zul'jin.
Yeah.
And then if there is, at least you have the I guess the drawback is that Patra's already played Floop, which reduces the truly powerful things you can do.
Of course.
With Elise, Floop, Zeph. So I think if you can offer a free turn to heal for that much. Oh, it's tough, isn't it? Can Zephyrus add up? Add up to the correct amount of damage? But my question now, Derek, is why wasn't there a hidden Oasis there?
Well, because she wants to copy it with Elise. She's thinking it's too important to hold on to. This is the downside of that play, of course, though, is that you get smacked in the face for 8 Damahe.
And the problem is you can't Elise and Hidden Oasis at the same time.
Right.
Which is unfortunate.
And 3 out of 4 times this does not happen, but one of the other 4 times it's Zul'jin.
Worse, maybe?
Right, yeah.
With a follow-up of Bran, potentially the turn after Zul'jin, so...
Like, in the case of Bran, the play that Pathra made effectively is losing the game, which again, it's not necessarily to say it's wrong, because in some of the other cases, maybe she needs the Hidden Oasis to be able to play twice.
And the worst part now is, those are literally the 2 worst minions to copy with Elise as well.
They are. Yeah.
That scenario stays at 11 mana.
So, if we were to see Elise, Zephrys, Shadow Earth Death, the game ends. Like, she just doesn't have the mana to play Hidden Oasis now, but she has to play Hidden Oasis.
And this is what I was meaning, where if, obviously, you know, just different circumstances, but if Floop existed in this world, then then what it means is there's potential that there could be a plan of stall, and then because Floop's cheaper, you can fit more into a turn. But obviously that just isn't the case right now. Floop was used way a long time ago. And I'm not saying that Pathra should have kept Floop for this situation, of course. It's just different outcomes that can happen with this deck, with the whole Elise Floop Zephrys.
And I think here, this play in this turn, last turn for Pathra, speak to exactly what she has been struggling with in Grandmasters, which is really just overthinking. Like, this play with Hidden Oasis, just play it last turn. Just get the healing in. I get what she's going for in trying to copy it with Elise, but I think if you think through it, the vast majority of the time you just don't have the mana. Just play it, heal up, go for Zephrys plays next turn, and then try and close out the game.
Yeah, the real issue is just time. And that's one of the things you learn very quickly. Of when you play Druid, yes, you have access to a lot of mana, but you can't often play like 11, 12, 13 mana per turn, and that's just, it can't be done with the way Hidden Oasis works. So it means that the problem there was, as you mentioned, 50% of the time it's Zul'jin or Bran.
Exactly.
Like, those 2 things are a nightmare, and then I think if it was Zul'jin, Pathra ends up in the same position of that, just saying this board is too big, I can't heal and defend at the same time. Although the heal beforehand would have gave us some leeway, maybe, with the Frost Nova. But very, very tough game there. It did get very, very close towards the end as well. But Staz is currently leading 1-0 in this must-win matchup for Pathra. We're going to go to a quick break, but stay tuned. There's a lot on the line on this one.
大家好，我是陈太不要，英文 ID 是 Brocho， 住在台湾。抱抱博士吧。 因为他的天生技蛮强的，我觉得好像都已经被发掘了，所以基本上之后应该都那些卡了。第一赛季哦，第一赛季应该算还可以吧，就赢的跟输的都没比较多，就平7胜7败，还算可以接受。因为下个赛季跟上次的赛季不同，要准备4套牌。 不过，如果准备3套针对同一副的，他就不要上那副就可以了，所以还要再想一下要怎么准备。因为有换组啊，这次过来的好像都韩国选手，所以大家实力都蛮强的吧，就要更努力准备一点。就新的赛季应该会比较好，因为之前只要准备1套牌。 然后备牌5张，就只要准备40张就可以了。想要准备4套，所以会比较花时间吧。不过现在没有在打炉石的话，我应该去工作了吧。所以炉石现在就是我全部吧，因为现在就要尽力打好大师赛。
We're going into game number 2 between Staz and Pathra. Pathra on the back foot now as Staz took the win with Hunter in game number 1. And Pathra does need to take this win. Very important matchup.
It is indeed. If, as we were saying at the start, any chance of her not being relegated here, she has to be winning this series, which going down 0-1 to Staz's Hunter feels pretty terrible. But I believe we got word that her next matchup may be somewhat more amenable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think she's going to be, I believe, on the Priest.
Yeah.
Which is going to be, again, we've seen the Priest do pretty well, or fall a little bit versus Warrior so far today. But yeah, I think if there's a must-win game of Hearthstone, you just queue up that Priest and get that win done.
That's right. And speaking of must-win games, this is like one of the most important games in Patra's Hearthstone career, really. At this point, it's, you can argue that every win is equal when you're worrying about relegating, but it now does just all come down to this. It's gone pretty horribly for thus far, and now she has to turn things around with this game. Druid versus Priest. If Pathra could not take this game, this could be effectively her last game that really has an impact in Grandmasters.
Staz on the Druid on the top. Going to do the full mulligan, whereas Pathra going to take a little bit more time over this because, although this may not look like the best set of cards, and I'd agree with that, I think that there's pause for thought when you can just play minions out on curve versus Druid. Do you think this should be a more an all-in mulligan, so to speak?
As in, get rid of
chuck
everything?
It all and go for the good stuff, or coin 2-drop into 2-drop potentially? Is a thing versus Druid. That's the extreme end of the scale, of course,
so
of keeping this hand.
Being truthful to myself, I know if I was playing this on ladder, I would full mulligan everything. I'm not certain that that's actually correct, though.
If you were playing this, if you continued life in Grandmasters, Derek, what would you do?
Yes, well, I would change my pants because I would have weed myself, I think, at this point, because I am not brave enough to be playing in these stakes of Hearthstone. And then I would have probably got rid of everything. The Blade Master I can understand, but I like the point that you raised of just curving out is powerful, because the traditionally most powerful things you can do in Priest, like Cleric into Tolvir, into whatever, healing up, all that stuff, drawing a bunch of cards, is not always what you want to do against Druid, because it can sometimes be a little bit low attack power level. You want to actually get more strong stuff onto the board, which is why I can totally understand keeping the injured Blade Master. The real dream card that you're looking for, however, is High Priest Ammit. If that goes unanswered, you are absolutely golden.
Yeah, and in terms of what you're talking about you want a higher damage board, I think that the big thing behind that is you don't want Oasis Surge to come down at the point it does post-quest, and then value trade versus your board. You want them, at worst, if they're going to trade, then they're both going to go into one big minion and maybe not even kill it. Like, that's the dream scenario if Oasis Surge is going to come into play, which we can see for Staz. Having access to bees for the Oasis Surger, even the hidden Oasis into Anubis Defender, these are the cards you want versus Priest.
That's right. For Pathra, I think it's a pretty easy coin Ammit. There is, so far as I can see, no punish. Even if War Druid Loti were to come down, of course, is a 1/2 poisonous stealth.
Delayed.
Exactly. You accept that the Ammit dies, whatever. You just go Blade Master, you go Sidekick Blade Master, develop in a huge way onto the board, and just say, even if you take out my Ammit, I still have a board you cannot deal with.
I guess Staz has arguably the biggest punish that's available for him, which is bees, in terms of just lowering its health.
Yeah, sure.
And proccing his quest still. However much you deem that a punish is up to you, but I guess that's like the thing he could do, which...
I get what you mean. Punish isn't the word you want to use, but it's the best word to describe it.
Yeah. I would be too upset with playing bees here.
I think you have to do something. If you just leave Ammit on the board, the game
I'd
ends.
rather play bees and hope there's no massive heal than not play it and die.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of heal, there's a good chunk of it.
Yeah, using the Circle of Healing beforehand is obviously a bit rough when you want to just play a Blade Master here. I have made this mistake an actually embarrassing number of times.
Play Blade Master first?
Play Blade Master. Or just play Blade Master with a low health Ammit.
Like, you fool, Derek Brown, you fool.
Like at least 5 times I've made that mistake. Like, I usually learn quite quickly. This one, in the last actually 5 minutes. I'm just sitting here playing Blade Masters with a low health Ammit. Yes, Pathra, of course, is not going to be making a stupid mistake like I would.
I think Circle Blade Master seems fine. Or arguably, there is also Circle into Sidekick into Tolve,
yeah.
which again, not too upset. He gets a taunt on the board. I'm
Both
not, you know,
fine, yeah.
seems fine. Blade Master gains the least, you could argue, from this, the way Amit looks right now.
I got you, friend.
It's actually in a fire and starting hitting straight away. Okay. I think I probably would have liked to have seen a Circle of Healing come down first, just for a little bit more health on both of these minions. Yeah, but either way, you know, this is a nice big board here that Pathra can start doing stuff with.
Yeah, I guess the question for me is what's actually the threat here? Of course, Amit is a threat.
Sure.
But I mean, the health maybe doesn't feel high enough on anything to think, for Staz to have to think, oh no, you know, there's some big trouble here. Whereas now, there's actually Oasis Surger, just as 3/3s.
Right.
It's not, I mean, it doesn't proc his quest, which is unfortunate, but maybe that's just what you require.
And like, what's the Spaceballs joke? Like, against Druid, you don't want to go regular speed, you want to go ludicrous speed. Yeah, exactly. Because they just don't have an answer to it, really. If they're not playing mind control tech, which I don't think Staz is.
Do you think this was Patra's thought of saying, well, there's no big Oasis Surger this turn, there's no big Starfall this turn, why don't I just save Circle and do big things the turn after?
Which is
now,
valid.
to be fair, there's Circle into Blade Master, into Inner Fire, and there's Topsy.
Which is insane.
Which is a ton of damage, so...
If she draws Northshire Cleric off the top. And this is actually, you know, this is fortunate for her, but this is a consideration as to why you keep the Circle. If you draw Light Warden or Northshire Cleric, both are insane. Wow.
If there's ever a must-win game, this is kind of the hand. This is the hand in the game you really want to happen, isn't there?
Oh, yes.
Oh, Blade Master as well. Chuck it all on. Circle, circle.
Yeah.
Do you want to circle first?
Well, I was thinking if you want to circle first, because technically it gives you a higher health Blade Master at the end, but you draw one less card. So
which
I'm fine with this.
I think I would have played the Blade Master last. Sorry, it's first. Wait, hang on.
You would have played first.
I would have circled first. There we go.
You would have circled first.
I think I would have circled first.
I think I prefer this way from Pathra because it gives you the same health, but it's just a higher health total on the Blade Master. It still ends up as a 4/7.
True.
But it's a maximum 11 health instead of a maximum 7 health.
I guess
and I'd rather have an extra card.
I guess I'm being clouded by the Ritualist, which wasn't in hand at the time.
Yeah,
so that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. And this is just looking a bit too hot to handle for Staz. And this Tolve is the key. It's just so, like I said, you don't want your minions to value trade into 2 minions, right? And if you have 1 taunt in the way and that's enough, then that's really good. Staz is going to be able to fight back a little bit here, but I can see Silence and a Topsy, and normally those things add up to just getting dead.
Oh, the Circle of Healing as well. It's so insane.
So wait, what's actually 2, 3, 4? So it's not lethal, right? Without card draw.
Do you ever just save the Silence and go like full trade and then
just go again?
Circle? Because I just think if you're dominating board, there's no loss scenario, right? As long as you don't lose your board to.
You would put the Amit into the 3/5 though, right?
Sure.
Because it becomes more killable, I guess.
Well, the thing you're afraid of is Loti plus Starfall, where the Starfall kills the Tolvin and the Loti rushes into the Amit.
Was this, in a weird way, bad placement?
From Pathra?
Because I guess not too. I think one of the higher health minions should have been next to Amit for a potential deficit.
Yeah.
Because this. I think it would have made this turn a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And mainly, obviously I'm talking about exactly this turn where the Blade Master trades, but now it means that if you trade with Amit, then the heals can't be quite as good. Did we finish?
She got the important attack.
Right, yeah. It's like
the thing is, with this turn from Pathra, it's obviously not optimal, right? If it was optimal, she would have played the other cards in hand, like the Divine Spirit and the Fight and the Powered Shield. But the important thing I think is here that in the disaster scenario case of Loti innovates Starfall, she still wins the game.
Right.
Because Starfall kills the Tolvir, the Loti rushes into the Amet, but then there's still a Light Warden in play that just delivers lethal, I think.
And there's also just heal on one of the high health minions into Topsy.
That works
There
too.
was Divine Spirit, like you said, it could have been played beforehand, but there was Powered Shield, Divine Spirit, Topsy in hand, which meant unless more or less all the minions were killed, then there's a way to actually win the game anyway for Pathra. So not the smoothest wins at the end there, but a almost certainly guaranteed win, which is the important part.
And I think that's the weird thing is, was there any difference between the two players? I'm pretty sure they were both literally 100% win lines. And so I don't even think you could call that not optimal. It wins the game 100% of the time, therefore it's optimal.
Right, because
it's no difference.
You go either way, right? Are there arguments where if there's Loti Starfall or something, then the Starfall can clear off the taunt, and then the Loti trades into the whatever you Divine Spirited. So you've lost Divine Spirit Topsy. So holding it didn't seem so bad to me, as long as everything was safe enough throughout the most, maybe even worst case scenario. But Pathra won the game, which is even the series up 1-1. One more game left. The pressure must be immense.
And it is. Druid, Shaman, Druid, Shaman. Bit of an interesting dynamic, though, given that Staz has Malygos Druid and Pathra has regular Quest Druid. And therefore, it gets very interesting because the Malygos Druid, I think, has a better chance against Quest Shaman than regular Druid. But in the mirror, the Druid, Patra's Druid beats Staz's Druid because she has regular.
Pretty consistently as well. Like, it's actually, I played a lot of that matchup. It is really hard. You literally need them to not draw their threats.
So I wonder how you queue for both players. What is the correct way to go?
I think...
Probably Shaman for Staz.
I probably think of what's happened. So as far as I'm aware, I think like Patra's queued Druid and Staz is on Shaman. And I think that is the logistical outcome. No one's gone wild, right? Because you don't want to lose to Malygos, so you queue your Druid, because Druid's just a good deck. So you queue that, and then I don't think the Druid matchup is bad enough versus Shaman to be that scared. So then you just queue it, right? Because
I like it.
You've got a higher chance at just destroying your opponent than they have of getting an edge versus you, so you do it. In a very simplified manner, of course.
Whoa. Lovely starting hand here for Pathra. And an interesting debate. I was actually in RDU's stream the other day where he was talking about this exact scenario. And this is a play apparently that Tice likes a lot of, in this instance, in this exact matchup, going Coin Merchant. Because it allows you to contest Evil Totem, which is one of the best cards in the matchup, right? If you don't have Crystal Merchant ready to take it out, it can gain 2, 3, 4 lackeys very, very easily.
I still hate it.
You still hate it?
Yeah.
It's a play
I will say,
I'm so confused, but so intrigued.
I will say, probably to a fault, I hard Quest. Almost every single, like, go in. Every opportunity is just full Quest outcome.
I think, to be fair to Radu, the addendum he added on was actually, unless you have Oasis Surger in hand. In which case... Okay, yeah. You get the Oasis Surger on right. Yeah.
Like, I would play the way Patra's played now in almost every game. I definitely understand the merits,
making the right line.
But yeah.
It was more just an interesting talking point. But I think, yeah, if the Oasis Surgers weren't there, I would actually probably call it the correct play to coin out the Crystal Merchant, just because of how bad Evil Totem can be. But this instance, the more standard line, I think, is the correct one here for Pathra.
Yeah, and speaking of hand quality as well, Staz is looking fantastic. Not only has he got his Mogu, he's got generators as well, he's got the Battle Cries, he's also got the Barista, which honestly, again, I said it yesterday, I'm going to repeat myself, is the card that actually wins games in this deck.
Oh my god, speaking of cards that win games, the Mutate. What are you doing, Staz? What are you doing?
Staz,
click that card.
Stone Cold Killer is just like, I'm going to consider all 3 options.
That is
like
the absolute dream.
Oh, and this could just end games
Disgusting.
and end the tournament lives at this point. Deep breath. I almost don't even want to look. if you get knocked out of Grandmasters to a mutate that's been discovered into an exact on curve Mogu.
Okay, that's the low roll. Outside of high reek, that is what Pathra needed to see.
And Bees just kills it.
Yep.
Oh.
Heroic innkeeper indeed, but for whom is the question?
That's intense. I've been angry about being knocked out of tournaments to a 1 in 16 before, and I feel like that's even worse than obviously like just a straight 1 in 16.
Yeah.
If it was going to be game win.
The game absolutely carries on now.
That's a big deal.
I would argue Patra's in the lead.
Surger into Surger with Starfall, with Ubisoft Defender. Patra just has all the good cards right now.
It's only Nourish she's missing, and honestly, she doesn't even need it.
Right, that's yeah. I mean, so the cards Patra has gets her to turn 10
easily, very easily.
And not only that, but easily gets her to turn 10. Yeah, you're right. It's like they're very, very good, and it's just Surger into Surger into Surger into Starfall into Ubisoft Defender into whatever, because unless Staz does something pretty big here, he's going to struggle. I think what Patra needs to do is think, what's worst case scenario this turn? So what do I trade into? I think that Ethereal Lackey needs to die.
There's a lot that goes wrong if you leave the Ethereal Lackey up. Yeah, I think it's just best here because it's not only the Wasp, which is the obvious thing that you're trying to get rid of there. It's Barista. Exactly, and any other bounce.
I like this.
I love this.
Because you just do you do what we just did whilst casting in. Basic maths. Patra's cards are better than Staz's cards. That's just true.
Yeah.
If these players just played out their hands now, Patra almost certainly wins that game.
Yeah.
So what's going to throw a spanner in the works?
Barista.
Well, the Barista with or any other bounce with random Shaman spells, creating earthquakes, Hagatha's schemes, or more damage or more evolves to make the game go nuts.
Things just go wrong.
And that's what you just shut down straight away. Because I think this is true of most matchups, card for card, every other deck in the game is better than Shaman. If you just directly clash card for card, but it's the fact that there's all this extra generation and the hero power of the double battle cry effects changes things. But you can remove at least some of that as a factor. Speaking of evolves, it's not bad.
That's interesting. Because I think Staz was probably gearing up for Hero Power Sandstorm on this turn.
I think you can still do it.
Okay.
Well, all right.
Yeah, fair enough. This is on its own, a huge amount of value. And actually, it contests the 5/4 well enough as it is. I'm on board with this.
All the other Oasis searches, though.
Yes, that is a different matter entirely. Because here from Staz, he's got a pretty good chance of finding not only value, but straight Demae. If he can get some Kobold Lackeys and start launching them with the Life Drinker as well, Patra, he can put Patra very easily in a position of have hidden Oasis or lose.
I honestly think from Patra, though, drop another Oasis. Maybe even drop the fluked one. A bit more health.
Trade. Yeah, that's an interesting
Just do what does
point,
Staz do? Like, enjoy your 2/1 Murlocs and a couple of lackeys that you're going to be overloaded with.
I think I actually like the 5/5 Oasis Surger because, like, the extra +1 health that one of them gets, like, one of them has to trade into the Barista Luncheon anyway. And in that instance, it dies to Hero Power plus Sandstorm anyway. And I would like to have the flexibility of Fluke in hand, I think.
And this
turn, this is different entirely.
Yeah, this turn worries me a little bit, and it's mainly because at the moment there's no Nourish. Because if you're not flooping the Surger, then you're probably planning on flooping Cenarius, which again is a fantastic floop target.
Of course.
But how does Patra get there? There's 3 more turns till her Cenarius can even be played initially for 9 mana. And then there's, the follow-up afterwards. I feel that's a long way away.
It is.
Whereas if you're playing Oasis Surger every turn for 3 turns straight, you're probably winning almost any game of Hearthstone. And yeah, I wasn't overly precious about the Fluke being played that turn, of course.
Yes.
So, if it was just normal Surger into Fluke Surger, what cards does Staz have that actually contest that?
And to be fair, Patra can still do that. She does not have to go for Fluke on the Cenarius. We could still see Surger.
It's doable. It's doable.
There is little time.
But now it's to a point where just Starfall's looking pretty tasty as well.
Oh, yes. It's looking insane.
And this is the, I guess, the upside of this play, although I think it would have been fairly similar anyway, is if this is the turn from Staz, which, guess what, is out of mana, it has to be, this is Starfall, whack him in the face for 9.
Yep.
Like, it's so sick.
Patra's just pulling pretty far into the lead.
I actually guess this is Swipe instead, right? Swipe Wrath. Because Starfall still doesn't kill the 2/3, so why use it?
Yeah.
Swipe kills the 4/4, kills all the other minions as well. Hold on to the Starfall for a bigger turn. I do like Wrath though, because I think Pathra will want to cycle.
Do you have a Starfall Wrath? I'm just wondering about how important it is to be mana efficient on this turn. I guess given that next turn is 8 mana and therefore you can't go Surger plus Swipe, I'm happy with using the Swipe on this turn.
And there's a big diff. Like, Shaman does make boards of 2 health, 3 health. You
Great
could draw
point.
low T,
Yeah.
for example, which buffs it massively against Shaman, where Swipe is like, this is just a good swipe board.
Yeah, you take it while you can.
Time waits for
I mean, just look at the hand from Staz. Starfall is infinitely better against Staz's hand than Swipe is.
Alright, I'm on board.
I like the Wrath because I like to cycle super heavy with Druid. Pathra seems to like it too because there's so many good draws, right? Nourish, any other AoE, any other minion in the deck, like almost anything is good right now. And that's a good one.
Wow, you guessed it again. That was unbelievable.
A good minion.
In Nourish or any other removal or any other minion.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't strictly mean any other minion. Merchant kind of sucks.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's a great one, though, there. Just being able to go Starfall plus another Anubis is a lot of threats while still playing around Mind Control.
I wonder.
Mind Control
Tech.
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine. Wait, Staz has just suddenly changed to Priest and cast 10 mana Mind Control? That's probably good for Pathra.
He's just dead.
Remember people played 10 mana Mind Control?
I do remember that.
Jeez.
I remember people played 8 mana Mind Control.
Oh, I mean, okay,
That was
we can
busted.
talk about that. But 10 mana was just like, well, nope.
What about Spiteful Summoner Priest? It was pretty good in that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was less for the what the 10 mana spell did, and more the fact it was 10 mana.
Yes, of course. If you ever had to play that, you just cried.
Yeah.
Mortals are so squishy.
And look at this. This is it's still a good Mogu, but it's a Mogu into a board that it doesn't generally beat. Does that make sense? Like, you know, like Mogu with a 6/4 and a 3/2 on the board. It's not the most backbreaking Mogu I've ever seen.
However, this is one of the better Starfalls I've seen in quite a while. I guess it's not super
kind of bad.
good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good though, right? I think
It's just
you have to take it this turn, right? Like, okay, you don't have
is
to.
Oasis better?
What else are you playing?
You get Oasis next turn as well. I'm just thinking, like, what do you even do? You actually Starfall the Wasp or something here? I don't know.
Starfall the Wasp, trade the 6/6 into
And then
Scenario.
just trade the 3/2 into the 1/2 that's left.
Yeah, sure.
But like, you end up with a 3/1 at the end of the turn. I guess you can play the Anubis Ass, but
Yeah, I think you do actually Starfall the Wasp.
it looks so weird.
It looks very weird.
5/8, 1/3, 1/3. You are taking the ultimate
for no
star.
Get off me, ice cream! I call the power of the universe upon you.
I don't really like this. This just makes the
This
trades
makes more
horrible.
trades.
We can't. Magic can't trade the board up now. And now there's a buff minion that kills the 6/4 anyway.
Yeah, I think this was just a bit worse actually. Yeah.
It has to be, right?
Yeah. It was just a bit worse.
Because Patra's like used a card, an extra card
yeah.
that would have actually still been on the board.
It seems so counterintuitive. Like, I'm trying to think. We must be wrong that hitting the Wasp is better, but I think it was just better.
I think it's so crazy, it might just be right.
The mantra of our casting style.
Well, that's what we hope anyway.
So crazy, just kind of sucks.
So crazy. And it's stupid. Stop it.
There is little time.
Honestly, it feels like Staz is more or less as lost as to how he should develop, because his hand is just really
Honestly,
lacking. It doesn't do anything.
It's weird that Staz's hand is so big, which is normally good in Hearthstone, but I feel like it's more of an Uno hand, where you don't want a lot of cards, and he's just looking at them all going, how do I get rid of these?
And he says, right, draw 4. And Patra's like, all right, brilliant.
Thank you. Like, what is this mix? I can't deal with this game.
What to do?
Right, so with double Surger available, that has to always be a consideration from here on in for Patra. And it is disgustingly powerful on this turn. Did she want to go for it? Of course, the reason why she's not snap making that play is mind control tech.
Again, my question always continues to be, is one just enough here?
Yes, and
Like,
I think that's probably where
go.
she ends up.
Because it still, roundabout way, sets up lethal, right?
Yep.
Because there's the scenarios in hand.
I think 2 is definitely an overextension. I think there are a lot of games where players don't realize you have to just say you don't have it. If you have it, then you're winning anyway. I don't think this is one of those situations by Patra. I think she can afford to just hold one back.
One good thing is Patra knows that Staz isn't playing the fabled Raven Griffin time attack, which means that this board is safe. But imagine, you could always be scared. You'd be like, I can't even play 3 minions.
Can't play
How do I
anything.
win this game if I just can't play stuff?
I can't play cards.
But it's a card game.
You just laughing on the Iron Throne like foolish mortals.
No one saw this coming. This is kind of tough, isn't it? Nothing adds up that well.
Yeah, I guess you can rush the champ into the 3/3. Yeah.
But then what does the rest of your hand do?
Yeah.
Because
Okay, this works too. Then you can just go Sandstorm, trade one of them in, rush the 1/1 into the...
yeah, if the 2 searches are left up, Patra just wins.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
That is
if he
true.
doesn't actually clear more than 1 minion,
Staz
Patra
will
wins the
clear
game.
the other one. Staz will clear the other one.
No, I feel like you're willing him across countries.
I
now.
am. If he doesn't, I will lose my
Okay, well,
ruddy mind.
he's rushing something, so you'd imagine that something gets cleaned up here.
Staz himself needs to get rushed. Right, he's alive. It's good enough for the moment.
So, 1, 2, 3, path.
Do you ever just go Oasis Surge at Elise?
Do you ever just go Scenarios face?
Do you ever just go home?
Do you ever just go?
Oh man, this is
Really tough.
this
one.
is a really hard turn.
So I guess my next question is, can Patra just play the long game? Trade the minion off?
It seems like what
Oh.
she's going for. Oasis Surge at Innovate Swipe. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. Kill off the 1/1s? I guess, yeah.
Time waits for no one.
Just trade. It does like... If
Okay.
you've got a 1 health guy, it's pretty annoying.
If you trade into the 5/5, then you swipe.
Yeah.
If you not trade into the 5/5, you don't swipe, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because you now you can protect, right?
Oh.
Oh, surely it was worth it.
I would have done it.
How is that?
I
How
would
does
have
that
done
Oasis
it.
Surge live? You've just seen
Yeah,
a Rush
yeah,
Lackey.
yeah.
You've
That's what I
seen
mean. You've seen Sandstorm.
you've seen 2 sand dudes.
Like Shudderwalk?
Yeah, I think it's exactly Shudderwalk that does it.
Yeah.
Because Patra will know that there's no lackeys in hand.
But to be fair, if Patra's playing the long game, this kind of works in favor of that because, again, as soon as she finds a Loti or a Starfall, the swipe helps quite a lot to clear up the board. But I think sticking a Surger on board also
might just
helps
win.
that. Yeah, and of course, it has the upside of maybe just winning.
Sometimes you just win. Whereas now, I think Staz has a reasonable go of just trade into the 5-4, drop that walk. Agree?
Like a clumsy Wagamama's chef.
There is little time.
You drop that walk.
Yeah. You should probably hurry up with that. Oh, indecisive. Rope burning. So go for 5 Gs instead and leave up some minions. Okay.
Alright, survives the turn. But is this now the time for Pathra to just say, I've played around MCT for too long, let's get going?
This is the fear factor for me as well, right? When I do this and I've played around MCT all game, I'm like, well, now it's even worse because it's even more likely they have it.
Yeah.
Now I can never play around it.
Yeah,
Now I have to play around it for the rest of the game and probably lose because I'm not allowed more than 3 minions on the board. I like Nourish.
Yes, me too.
It's a good card. And remember,
Probably play that instead
Pathra
now.
has Elise, has Zephyrus in a deck. Like, these are all massive activation cards. And she's got time, right? Yeah, this board's annoying, but she can clear off one life drinker. She's got swipe for the rest of the board if she really wants it.
Yeah, I think it's good to deviate from scenarios here. Not only because of mind control tech, but also just to get it on the board.
Okay, so you play that. You go 1, 2.
What happens if you just play Elise?
1, 2, 3. You go up to a second Nourish and miss the Pharos, right?
Do you care about that?
If you,
I kind of just
I'd
want
like to play Pharos twice.
I'd like to, but I'm just wondering if... Do you ever have the time to play another Elise later on? Maybe.
Wait, where are you getting another? Oh, right. Okay.
Sorry, to play the Elise later on.
Well,
Whereas
I think
you could just go Elise now.
If anything, you'd innovate Elise, right? So you get Pharos.
Even then, I'm wondering if I'd rather just have 2 innovates for just raw tempo, just to
What
lock
tempo
down the
does
board.
2 innovates get you?
Being able to play more stuff in a turn. That's tempo.
But at this point in the game, what?
I
What
was
do the innovates
just
gain?
thinking about it. I was just
Okay.
thinking, like, you know, being able to go... I don't know. Yeah, maybe it was just bad.
I just think you do that turn, and then you just go Pharos, and then whenever anything sticks, you just play Solaris.
Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm on board with that. But of course, in order to get there, Pathra does just have to survive.
Really good walk.
Yeah, pretty nice. Ooh. That's where that rush is coming from. Wow. That was nutty.
Drop the 5/5 in. Seems good. What? That is one of the best shudder walks I've seen from Quest Champion in actually a long time. That was insane. And I feel like it shouldn't have been.
I think it's probably a result of the fact that no bog sloshes have been played, whereas usually like all the
Right,
big
so it
minions
gets
you play
bounced,
just
yeah.
get bounced back.
Oh.
Well, if you wanted an answer, there it is.
Well, this game just continues again now, right? Just Zephyrus twisting this away. And then the game just carries on. You still have Elise for the
Yeah.
beef. And this Pharos, yeah, there's mind control tech, but I think you just have to cross your fingers and play stuff after this turn. Imagine if Zephyrus, right, in the next patch they just changed it to Fox and it offers you the 3 worst cards. I wonder how long they'll take up to realize. Yeah, 1 game.
I always wondered that if they made a joke version of Zephyrus that just offered 3 almost perfect cards. Like there's
Yeah.
like Black Knight, Mind Control Tech, and like a Cabal Shadow Priest or something. It's like, they're all good. You're still going to die though.
Or if there was like just a full board of 5/5s, it gives you Flame Strike. And you're like, come on!
Yeah, they're at 11 health and it's like Pyroblast and you're like, eh?
There's
Eh?
3 minions on the board, all of which offer lethal, and it just gives you
MCT.
Ice Lance. No, not Ice Lance, Ray of Frost. So
Oh,
you can just
yeah,
freeze 2 of them and you're like, okay, Zephyrus.
Dang it. Or imagine you play it on 2 and it offers you Brightwing.
Hey!
Hilarious.
This is a lot of damage. There's still Life Drinker with Hero Power as well.
So
and Staz has access to still has access to Bog Slash. I'd actually love to see that mutate used, I
It's the
think.
right way.
On the Wasp.
I like it. Just get more stuff on the board.
I think you're overestimating
stuff.
the average 4-drop.
I think it's short from what we gained from Shadowhawk.
Okay. Yeah, if you're a Shaw or a Corcoran gamer, then I'm on board. There's a lot of mana available on this turn with Elise and Innovates knocking about. Like if you go Starfall, no. I was wondering if you could fit like Elise, Starfall, Innovate, and Swipe in the same turn, but just one Innovate short.
What if it's just Starfall Swipe?
Yeah. That's like the good, the fine play. I wonder if there's anything disgusting that can be done on this turn, but I think you're right. I think it's all just
What about, and then
a
you
tad
just...
short.
The problem with that is then Feroris just doesn't exist anymore.
And yeah, also you've used up your 2 removal cards, whereas if I was Pathra, I would really want to
So
copy
you go
those cards.
6. Okay, so I guess it's this. Nourish into Loti into Starfall, right?
Just got to move real fast.
Oh no, that won't work. Oh yeah, it will, because the Innovate.
Not on this turn, though. Oh. Okay.
Pulled the swipe off though, so
Yeah,
unfortunate in terms of just maybe not quite doing the full turn Pathra would want to do, but it's not bad, although that is
So how do you
very
sequence
close.
this? Do you go Hero Power Ethereal first? Because then that means Hero Power Ethereal plus Life Drinker. You've used 7 mana, so you still have Lava Burst for lethal. And then obviously
And
if
then
you
you
miss
can
that, you can
bog.
just swap with the Bog. Yeah, exactly. I think
so,
I think I like that.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
good to me.
I would definitely like to see Ethereal first, just to get information. Whoa, 1 damage off lethal? You take that because you can then get Lightning Burst, Lightning Bolt.
I was just making up cards!
No time.
Lightning Burst.
I'd play that card.
Oh wait.
Oh, that is just lethal. Oh, that's lethal anyway.
Because
He's
of
got it.
the rush on the actual minion that can attack. Gave the totem the attack, and that's going to be the game. And Staz takes the victory over Pathra 2-1. That was an insane series. Tense for reasons outside of the
tense.
match, and tense for reasons inside of the match as well, because there were multiple points throughout that whole series that were extremely back and forth.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That was one of the most decision-dense series of
Right,
Hearthstone
right.
we've seen in quite a while here in Grandmasters. There were so many points, especially on Patra's side, I thought, where, I mean, we were arguing about the plays a lot, and I think, you know, we can both agree that there were a lot of valid lines she could have gone for, even if we both think the other is an idiot.
Which is definitely true.
Definitely
by the way.
the case.
But yeah, I think from both players there was just a lot of stuff to do.
So much to do,
because Pathra managed to get hold of card draw. Obviously, her hand was very full. Maybe a tad unfortunate that for the longest time the hand was scenarios with Elise, which again is just really tricky to pull off. But the surges into surges into surges for a lot of the game were really strong. I think could have helped a pile on there. But Staz did get the win, and I believe he is standing by for an interview. Staz, can you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Cool. Congratulations on that win. A pretty good
Thank you.
weekend for you. I just want to ask you, how was playing that series? Because for us, there was so many decisions from both players and so many back and forth moments. I just want to find out, how did you find that series? Did it feel easy or did it feel pretty tough?
I'm so tired right now, and I feel like those were the hardest matches I had for season 2. And I'm confused which one is the better play. And I'm not sure on most of the turns.
And I just want to ask, how were you feeling going up against Patra's lineup in general, like post ban and pick? Were you feeling confident going in? Did you have you knew what you were going to queue and be pretty happy with it?
Well, kinda. I mean, we brought the same lineup, but I think she's a little bit favored since she brought the standard quest druid and I brought the Malygos.
Right.
So I think it's unfavored against the standard quest druid. But I think shielding hunter was the better choice for me. Yeah.
Okay. And do you think that was a better choice based on purely just statistics, or do you think for you it's better because you play so much hunter and you feel more comfortable with it?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I'm just comfortable with hunter, but stat based, it's not so bad either. So it's kind of close.
Yeah, it feels like you were very, very strong with the deck overall, taking that first win. But I guess I just want to know, when you had Bran and Zul'jin in the bottom 4 cards of your deck, how are you feeling there? Like, are those games that you find yourself winning often, or are they crucial to beating that matchup?
I think I'm confident in that match. I mean, there's like 4 cards left, and I just need to draw either of those in order to win.
Yeah.
I think, and I think it was pretty close. I mean, if I lost in tempo early game, that I could have probably lost that game.
Yeah, it's definitely a close one, a close series overall. But congratulations once again, Staz, on the win. Good weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's really close. I don't blame him for being tired.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm tired casting it. That was intense.
And he's got a baby.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
Makes people
I don't
tired.
think I had it with him right then, but
yeah, well, I don't. It was more just in general. I don't think the baby was like playing the Hearthstone with him. I wonder if that would be against the rules.
yes.
Probably.
Like, I guess you still give yourself a disadvantage unless it's that hyper intelligent.
What if
baby?
they're a really smart baby
insane. Though? Yeah. I'm sure plenty of people would argue a baby would be a better Hearthstone player than I am. So
well, I mean, look at Hunter Ace, right?
Well,
Best baby Hearthstone player there's ever been.
That is true. Let's move on to the next match of the day. After